The Nigerian government is obviously displeased with the mass burial given by the Italian government to 26 young Nigerian women who drowned in the Mediterranean weeks ago. 2 days ago, the Presidential Advisor on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Abike Dabiri-Erewa, said Nigeria was surprised that the November the 26th date agreed to by both governments for the burial was jettisoned by the Italians. She says the move is unhealthy for diplomatic ties between both nations, as Italy went ahead despite the fact that the pathology results are still being awaited to ascertain the cause of the death.
We can't even be sure that the 26 are Nigerians. So those are the questions we need to ask. Only 3 have been identified to be Nigerian. So there are many questions to be answered. So the idea was that NAPTIP, which is the body responsible for trafficking, is the DG is right now in Italy. But then the girls have been buried. So it's a thing of shock to us, because if the information came out, there might be 1 or 2 parents that will say, okay, I want my daughter brought home. Until that request is made, you cannot answer the question.
State government need to create a lot of programs that will involve the youth, to gather them, to give them something that can engage them productively, so that they don't engage on all these falsehood travels that will endanger their life and get them perish either in the Mediterranean Sea or in the Sahara Desert.
Migration analyst Emmanuel Okonkwo is in the studio to talk more on this. Thanks for joining us. Now, do you think that was just an outright insult to the Nigerian government for the Italians to have done this?
It is an insult, but I am more concerned about the families of these women, not knowing what has happened to their wards. It's an insult, yes, but it's also a violation. You buried them. You've buried them without consultation. You've buried them without any attempt to actually identify who they really are, where they come from. That's not how to treat people. But that's how countries will treat you when you don't get your acts together. That's just the way it is.
I'd like to pick it from that point. Are you saying that the Nigerian government didn't get its act together? That was why the government of Italy went ahead to, do the burial without, because from what we gathered, Abike Dabiri-Erewa was saying that there was going to be an investigation to know the identities of this person. So why the hurry?
Well, would they do that if they were Americans? Would they do that if if the 26 were Canadians? Would you do that? So there's got to be the way we are looked at, and so that's a different matter. But another thing is, you got to think about the families where these people really come from, and how you are not going to see your children or your girls again, and you're not even sure whether they are alive. I think this is a tragedy of unprecedented proportions.
But what I want to get from you is, are you saying, because previously we were saying it's when a government does not have its act together.
Yes.
Are you saying that Nigeria didn't get its act together to ensure that Italy respected the agreement we had?
Well, I from what we heard from the DG, I think they done something. They did something. But why the Italians did not respect that? Could it just be how we are viewed? That's why I keep asking, if this were Americans, would you treat them this way? Okay. If this were Canadians, would you treat them this way? So obviously there are diplomatic channels. Apparently they were meant to have buried them 9 days later, and you've gone ahead to bury them 9 days before. Why are you doing that? Maybe the state of the cops, who knows their own reason for doing that. But
do you think they might be hiding something? Do you think they're trying to protect people who might have been involved in this crime? Why do you think it was such a rush?
I don't think they're hiding something. You have to understand that we down here are the people who don't care. The Italians want this human trafficking to stop. It's their economy that's invaded. The Europeans don't want this. So it's not to their own economic interest to hide this. So they want this migration to stop. They're not happy that people are coming to their country. They're not happy that they're even having to. The cost of burying these people would be enormous. I think so. I don't think there's a cover-up. I just think that it's an issue of how much respect does your nation have in the international community? Because if your nation commands respect, then your people wouldn't be, look at how we're being treated when we're alive, and look at how we've just been treated even when we're dead. There's no respect for the Nigerian when he's alive, and there's no respect for the Nigerian when he's dead.
Now, how would you evaluate how the government, that's the Nigerian government, has handled these issues of migration so far? Because this is not the first time we're having an issue of Nigerians dying on their way on the sea. And now the question on the lips of many is, do Nigerian lives really matter?
Absolutely. You know, there's been this hope last year about those Black lives matter. I think it's time we start the Nigerian life matter, because I think it does, but I'm not quite sure everybody thinks that. Is the government seeing it as such? I'm not sure they are. The reason why I'm saying this is that I turn on the TV. There's not been any mass program to tell people that this mission is a suicide mission. You just had a report of a suicide bomber somewhere in the north. This mission is equivalent to killing yourself, and you don't hear it on the news. You don't hear it apart from your news reporting the death of these people. There is actually no national program to warn these people that you are going to die. I was on this journey myself 20 years ago. You would die on this journey if people don't warn you. Yes.
Go ahead.
And so if the government's not spending money advertising youth enlightenment program, telling them that for every one person that survives, there are 99 people who die. And listen, the 26 that they picked up on the sea, how many are under the sea?
Absolutely.
These were just floating bodies. How many are under the sea? So it's a national tragedy. I think our country is not respected. I think people don't respect Nigerians alive, and they don't respect Nigerians even when they are dead. This is how you're going to bury people without finding their families and communicating the death of these people correctly.
And that's even just a Nigerian issue. We're talking about the entire African continent. We're talking about people from all over Africa migrating to Europe, and they are all stranded. You're working on a program. Your project helps to support people. Now, how difficult is it to tell people to stay back in Nigeria?
It is difficult, but it's not as difficult as I thought at the beginning. When people are given, you don't tell them to stay in Nigeria. You have to give them the option to stay in Nigeria. And so I run ICON, Inner City Outreach Nigerian Foundation, and we deal predominantly with the kind of people that have died last month. You don't tell people don't travel. You don't tell people don't get out. What you do is that you offer them alternatives to stay. And when people are given alternatives to stay, you cut down the number of people who are making this suicide journey, because that's what we should call it what it is a suicide journey. Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, Emmanuel Okonkwo.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you.